Right now, you're being played, and you don't even know it. That woman you're chasing, she's running a psychological program on you that's so automatic, she doesn't even realize she's doing it. You think you're losing because you're not good enough. Wrong, you're losing because you were never taught the rules of the game. While you were learning to be respectful and kind, other men were learning the dark patterns that actually trigger attraction. And here's what nobody tells you. The manipulation isn't her fault. It's yours, because you're volunteering to be the victim. I'm going to show you the exact psychological warfare being waged against you in every interaction, every text, every relationship. I'm going to teach you how to recognize when you're being manipulated, how to neutralize emotional tactics, how to build a psychological fortress so strong that manipulation slides off you like water off steel. This isn't about revenge. This is about sovereignty. If you're ready to stop being the target and start being untouchable, keep watching. The deprogramming begins now. The matrix of modern dating. Let me paint you a picture of your life. You meet someone. She's magnetic. Within weeks, you're obsessed. You're texting her good morning. You're planning your day around her availability. You're analyzing every word she says like it's scripture. Then the shift happens. It's subtle at first. She takes longer to reply. She's busy. She's tired. The warmth you felt, it's now room temperature. And you're confused because you didn't change. You're still giving her everything. So you give more attention, more validation, more availability, and she disappears. You sit there in the wreckage wondering what you did wrong. Let me tell you exactly what you did wrong. You played the game by the rules they told you were real. But those rules, they're designed to make you lose. Niccolo Machiavelli understood something 500 years ago that modern psychology is only now confirming. Human beings respond to power dynamics, not moral goodness. The person who controls the frame controls the outcome. And right now, you don't control anything, not even yourself. You're about to learn 7 psychological defense mechanisms. These aren't tricks to manipulate women. These are shields to protect you from being manipulated. These are the patterns that will make you immune to emotional blackmail, guilt trips, hot and cold games, and every other tactic being used against you right now. But I need you to understand something before we go deeper. Once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. You'll watch everyone around you running these programs. Your friends, your family, your coworkers. And yes, every woman you interact with. Reality is about to become uncomfortably clear. Are you ready? Let's begin. Principle 1. The Vampire Defense. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception." But here's the twist. The deception isn't you tricking her. It's you understanding that your time is being stolen through a trick you fell for. Right now, you're an energy vampire's dream. You respond instantly. You're always available. You reorganize your entire schedule the moment she shows interest. You think this demonstrates value. Psychologically, you're demonstrating the opposite. You're broadcasting, "I have nothing more important than you. My life is empty. Please fill it." Here's the mechanism behind it. When a rat presses a lever and gets food every single time, it presses the lever only when it's hungry. But when the reward comes randomly, the rat becomes obsessed. It presses the lever constantly, desperately, addictively. You're giving her food every time she presses your lever. You've made yourself predictable, abundant, and therefore worthless. The defense: strategic unavailability, not games, not wait 3 hours to text back manipulation. Real, genuine focus on building something bigger than her. When you're actually in the gym at 6 a.m., not because you're trying to make her jealous, but because you have a body to build and a mission to complete. That's when your absence becomes magnetic rather than manipulative. Here's what happens in her brain when you're genuinely unavailable. The psychological reactance theory kicks in. Humans want what they can't easily have. When you're not there, she has to use imagination to fill the gap. And imagination, it's always more addictive than reality. But you've been robbing her of imagination by suffocating her with your constant presence. The vampire defense means you protect your energy like it's blood. Because it is. Your time, attention, and focus are your life force. Every minute you spend chasing someone who's lukewarm toward you is a minute stolen from building the version of yourself that people chase. Stop feeding the vampire. Start investing in the empire. When you are genuinely scarce, you don't need to fake value. You become valuable. Drop this in the comments if you're done being emotionally available to people who are emotionally unavailable to you. My time is the currency. Principle 2, the Chessmaster's shield. Defensive unpredictability. Every woman you meet is running a beta test on you. She's pushing buttons to see which ones make you react. Smile here, anger here, panic here. Within 2 weeks, she's mapped your entire operating system. She knows your triggers. She knows your patterns. You are a solved equation. Machiavelli advised, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves." Most men are neither. They're predictable house cats. This is about intermittent reinforcement, the most powerful addiction mechanism in behavioral psychology. Slot machines use it. Social media uses it. And whether she knows it or not, every woman who keeps you hooked uses it. But here's the defensive maneuver. You can deploy the same pattern to protect yourself from her manipulations. When she goes cold, the old you panics. The defended you becomes colder. When she's sweet, the old you melts. The defended you stays neutral, evaluating whether the sweetness is genuine or tactical. This isn't about being cruel. This is about refusing to be a puppet. You must become emotionally unpredictable, not chaotic, but self-determined. Your mood doesn't change based on her temperature. You are your own climate system. She can bring rain, but you decide whether you're going outside. When she realizes she cannot push a button and extract a predetermined response, she stops trying to control you. And the moment she stops trying to control you, she starts wondering about you. Here's the key. Most men think the goal is to make her happy. Wrong. The goal is to make yourself unreadable, because what is unreadable must be studied. And what must be studied becomes obsession. You're not being mean. You're being defended. You're saying, "My emotional state is not your remote control." If you cannot be predicted, you cannot be controlled. Principle 3, the Trojan Horse Reversal. Every conversation you have is a power struggle you don't know you're in. She asks, "What are you thinking?" You tell her honestly. Mistake. You just handed her intelligence. She now knows your position. You know nothing about hers. Machiavelli knew that the greatest weapon is not your sword, but your enemy's sword turned against them. The concept here is psychological mirroring, but deployed defensively. When she asks questions designed to extract information, you reflect the question back. What are you thinking? Why do you ask? What would you want me to be thinking? She's using a technique called validation seeking. She wants to feel like the center of your universe. Every man gives her that. You're going to do something different. You're going to validate the parts of her nobody else sees, not her beauty, not her surface. You're going to speak to her shadow self. You show the world you're independent, but I see someone who's terrified of being abandoned. This creates psychological intimacy faster than anything else. She feels seen, exposed, understood. But here's the defensive part. You control when the mirror is up and when it's down. When you give someone deep validation, they become addicted. When you withdraw it, they chase it. This isn't manipulation for conquest. This is manipulation defense. You're showing her, "I see you clearly. I understand your tactics, and I'm not falling for them." The Trojan Horse Reversal means you let her think she's getting inside your walls, but really, you're inside hers. She thinks she's manipulating you. You're studying her. Every question she asks you, answer with a question. Every test she runs, reflect it back. She'll realize she's playing chess with a mirror, and her own tactics are being used to reveal her. The best defense is making a fence defend itself. Principle 4, the crown stays level. Here's where most men lose the game before it even starts. You see a beautiful woman and your brain runs a program. She's out of my league. I need to impress her. I need to prove I'm worthy. That program, it's poison. The moment you place her above you, you've lost, not because she's judging you, but because you are. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, because it belongs to everybody to see you, to few to come in touch with you. People treat you how you appear to treat yourself. If you treat her like a goddess, she'll treat you like a worshiper, and worshipers don't get intimacy. They get distance. When you put her on a pedestal, you voluntarily place yourself beneath her. You're signaling, you're the prize. I'm the contestant." The defense, hierarchical immunity. You see her as a human being, flawed, complex, equal. This doesn't mean disrespect. This means removing the deification that makes you inferior. When every other man is stuttering, you're calm. When every other man is agreeing with everything she says, you disagree when you genuinely disagree. "I think you're wrong about that." That sentence, delivered without anger, just honest disagreement, is a shock to her system. It says, "I value my truth more than your approval. I'm not intimidated by your beauty. I'm evaluating whether you are good enough for my standards." You're not trying to impress her. You're deciding if she impresses you. Because a high-value woman doesn't want a fan. She wants an equal, and you cannot be an equal when you're looking up. The pedestal is a cage for both of you. She can't be human on it. You can't be respected below it. Destroy it. Stand on level ground. Eye to eye, equal to equal. If you worship her, she cannot love you. If you respect yourself, she has no choice but to respect you too. Principle 5. The fortress of silence, verbal discipline. You talk too much, and every word is bleeding your power. Machiavelli observed that the wise man does more listening than speaking, because in silence, others reveal themselves. In speech, you reveal yourself. Think about every argument you've lost, every time you over-explained, every time you sent 3 paragraphs when she sent 3 words. You were leaking intelligence to the enemy. This is about verbal discipline, the psychological principle that mystery creates fascination and familiarity creates contempt. When she tests you, and she will test you, the weakest response is explanation. "Here's why I did that. Here's what I meant, let me clarify." No, stop. The defended response is silence. Let her test bounce off you like a stone hitting a wall. Don't defend, don't justify, don't engage, just look at her, breathe, wait 3 seconds. Then either address it calmly or don't address it at all. That gap, that pause, destroys her script. She was expecting a reaction. She was expecting you to scramble. Instead, you're calm, unmoved, evaluating. Silence triggers anxiety loops in the other person's brain. Why isn't he reacting? What's he thinking? Did I push too far? She starts explaining herself. She starts seeking your approval. The power dynamic just flipped. But here's the defense mechanism. You're not doing this to manipulate her. You're doing this to avoid being manipulated by your own need to be understood. Most men explain themselves because they're terrified of being misunderstood. That terror is a weakness that will be exploited. When you stop needing her to understand you, you become immune to her misunderstandings. Words are for the weak. Action is for the strong. Silence is for the sovereign. Never explain, never justify. Either act or don't. Principle 6. The Philosopher's Gate. The ultimate defense. The one thing that makes you absolutely immune to manipulation. The genuine willingness to walk away and never look back. Machiavelli taught that a prince must rely on his own strength, never on the goodwill of others. If you need her, she owns you. If you prefer her but can survive without her, you own yourself. This is outcome independence in psychology, the state where you're invested in the process but detached from the result. Most men stay in toxic situations because they're more afraid of being alone than being disrespected. They tolerate lies, they tolerate coldness, they tolerate manipulation, because the alternative, the void, terrifies them. That fear is the chain around your neck. The defense. Build a life so complete, so full of purpose, mission, and options, that losing any one person is an inconvenience, not a catastrophe. This isn't about bluffing. Women can smell a bluff from a mile away. They know when you're pretending you don't care. The energy is different when you genuinely don't need them versus when you're performing not needing them. You must actually cultivate self-sufficiency, not as a tactic, as a lifestyle. When she knows, truly knows, that you will open the door and let her leave the moment she crosses your boundaries, everything changes. She doesn't leave, she stays. Because clear boundaries create safety. If your walls are made of paper, she feels unsafe and acts chaotic. If your walls are made of stone, she can relax. Here's the paradox. You only keep what you're willing to lose. Grip sand tightly and it escapes through your fingers. Open your hand and it stays. This is the ultimate defensive posture. Build your kingdom. If she wants to be the queen, she must abide by the laws. If not, the gate is open. That energy, the energy of a man who cannot be trapped, is intoxicating. It's the energy every woman wants to capture and, failing that, surrender to. You cannot be manipulated if you're always ready to walk. Principle 7. Self-sovereignty realization. Let's zoom all the way out. You came here because the title promised you control. You wanted power over women. You wanted to understand the manipulation. You wanted the tools to make her chase you. But have you noticed something? Every single principle we covered, strategic unavailability, emotional unpredictability, psychological mirroring, destroying pedestals, silence, walking away, none of them are about controlling her. They're all about controlling you. That's the secret Machiavelli actually taught. That's the dark truth they don't tell you. You cannot control another human being. You can only control yourself. Every manipulation tactic you've experienced, every mind game that's been run on you, only worked because you were controllable. You were a slave to your need for validation, a slave to your fear of abandonment, a slave to your lust and loneliness. When you conquer those internal tyrants, when you become a man who doesn't need external validation, when you become the source of your own worth, you become immune. Not immune to her tactics, immune to caring about her tactics. She can run every game in the book. It slides off you like water off stone because you're not playing. You're not even on the board. You're somewhere else entirely, building something that matters more. This is internal locus of control, the psychological state where your sense of self comes from within, not from external validation. When you are the most grounded, self-sufficient, purpose-driven element in the room, everything else orbits around you. Not because you're forcing it, because that's just physics, that's gravity. Control isn't gripping her neck. Control is stilling your own mind. So don't go out there trying to manipulate women. Go out there and ruthlessly govern yourself. Kill the needy version of you, starve him of validation until he dies. Birth the sovereign version, the man who needs nothing, wants much, accepts only excellence. The throne isn't out there, it's inside you. And nobody can take it unless you give it away. Final call to arms. If you made it this far, you're not the same person who started this video. You can't be. You've seen the code. You've seen the matrix. Now you have a choice. You can go back to being the nice guy, the pleaser, the victim of emotional warfare. Or you can become the fortress, the unmovable, the man who cannot be manipulated because he's already conquered himself. The world isn't waiting for you to ask permission. It's waiting for you to take what's yours. If you're ready to stop defending and start dominating your own mind, type this in the comments. I choose sovereignty. My next video is important for you and you don't want to miss it. Subscribe. Enable notifications. The war for your mind continues. And remember, the strongest man in the room is the one who doesn't need to prove he's the strongest. Be that man.